Imagine a land where winter never truly ends, where the winds cut like knives, and the ground remains frozen for thousands of years. Siberia, a place so vast and unforgiving that only the toughest could survive. But beneath this icy wilderness lies something far more extraordinary, a genetic time capsule that holds the secrets of humanity's past. For centuries, Siberia was considered an empty, desolate expanse. But today, scientists are discovering that it was actually a major crossroads in human history. The frozen remains of ancient people, preserved for tens of thousands of years, are now revealing shocking truths about where we come from, how civilizations formed, and even how our bodies evolved to withstand extreme environments. Siberian DNA is rewriting the history books, and what it tells us is far more astonishing than we ever imagined. The story begins 45,000 years ago, before the pyramids, before written language, before civilization as we know it. A lone traveler, now known as Unauthorized man, walked the frozen tundra of western Siberia. He was one of the first modern humans to set foot in this unforgiving land. His bones, discovered thousands of years later, contained a stunning revelation. His DNA was strikingly similar to both modern Europeans and East Asians. This was the first clue that Siberia wasn't just a remote outpost. It was a place where different human lineages mixed and evolved. But Unauthorized man carried something even more surprising in his DNA, traces of Neanderthal genes, proving that early Siberians had interbred with these ancient cousins. This discovery shattered previous assumptions about how modern humans spread across the world. But Unauthorized wasn't alone. Some 20,000 years later, another group of humans appeared in Siberia, the ancient North Eurasians. They were different. Their genetic footprint would stretch beyond Siberia, beyond Asia, even beyond the vast Pacific Ocean. In 2013, a child's skeleton was uncovered near Lake Baikal, and his DNA revealed something mind-blowing. He wasn't just Siberian. His genetic markers were found in modern Europeans and Native Americans. This boy, known as Malta Boy, was proof of a deep connection between Siberians and the first Americans. It turned out that long before Columbus set sail, long before humans even reached South America, their ancestors had come from the icy lands of Siberia. But there was something even stranger about these ancient Siberians. They weren't just one group of people. They were part of a genetic experiment written by nature itself. Some of them carried markers that connected them to the people of Europe. Others shared ancestry with ancient East Asians. And some were completely unique. Siberia wasn't a dead end of human migration. It was the meeting point of different worlds. The intermingling of these early populations in Siberia created entirely new genetic lineages, lineages that would go on to shape the populations of Asia, Europe, and the Americas. Yet, despite their genetic diversity, these ancient Siberians had one thing in common. They were survivors. They endured some of the coldest temperatures on Earth, adapted to brutal winters, and thrived in conditions where others would perish. Their resilience became encoded in their DNA, giving rise to genetic traits that still exist in people today. From higher fat metabolism to withstand extreme cold, to unique immune system adaptations, Siberian DNA isn't just a relic of the past. It's a blueprint of human endurance. But this is just the beginning. Siberian DNA holds far more mysteries waiting to be uncovered. What other ancient secrets are frozen beneath its permafrost, waiting for science to catch up? Could the next discovery completely rewrite human history once again? One thing is certain, Siberia is not just a frozen wasteland. It is the key to understanding who we really are. Siberia, a land so vast and brutal that it seems almost untouched by time. But what if I told you that this frozen expanse has been at the center of human history for tens of thousands of years? That buried beneath its icy terrain lies the DNA of people who shaped the world in ways we're only just beginning to understand? The story of Siberian DNA isn't just about survival. It's about a global connection that defies everything we thought we knew about ancient migrations. Our journey begins in a world long before maps, before borders, before civilizations even existed. The first humans to set foot in Siberia weren't just wandering hunters. They were pioneers pushing into the unknown, adapting to the harshest conditions on Earth. But what's truly remarkable is where their descendants ended up. For centuries, Scientists debated how the first humans reached the Americas. The answer was buried in Siberian DNA all along. The genetic evidence is crystal clear. The ancestors of Native Americans once lived in Siberia before crossing into the New World. But what's even more shocking? They weren't just moving in one direction. Thousands of years after their ancestors had left Siberia, some groups migrated back, returning to their homeland across the Bering Strait. This means that the connection between Siberia and the Americas wasn't just a one-time event. It was a constant, ongoing exchange of people, culture, and genes. The past wasn't static. Siberia was a highway of migration, a bridge between worlds. But this was no ordinary migration. These people weren't just travelers. They were survivors of an Ice Age apocalypse. The Ice Age was no mere winter. It was an era of unimaginable cold, where glaciers stretched across continents, and temperatures dropped lower than anything we experience today. For early humans, this wasn't just about finding food. It was about fighting to stay alive in a world where nature itself seemed determined to erase them. Those who survived carried genetic traits that would shape future generations. What makes this migration even more mysterious is who these people really were. Genetic studies have revealed that the first Native Americans were not a single group, but a fusion of Siberian and East Asian populations, blended over thousands of years. Some of their ancestors came from the frigid Arctic, others from the temperate forests of Asia, and together, they formed an entirely new lineage, one that would eventually populate 2 entire continents. But the genetic links don't stop there. Deep in the Altai Mountains of Siberia, researchers discovered something unexpected. Traces of DNA from a population that was ancestral to both Native Americans and ancient Europeans. This means that thousands of years before recorded history, Siberia was already a meeting ground between East and West. And it wasn't just humans making the journey. Along with them came their technologies, their knowledge, and even their diseases. Siberia wasn't an isolated world. It was the heart of a vast, interconnected web of migration that shaped the populations of 3 continents. This discovery changes everything. For centuries, history books taught that civilizations developed separately, that the Old World and the New World were cut off from each other until recent times. But the DNA buried beneath Siberia tells a different story, one of constant movement, exchange, and transformation. The first Americans weren't strangers to Siberia. They were Siberians themselves, carrying the legacy of their ancestors across thousands of miles, reshaping the genetic fabric of entire continents. But what does this mean for us today? Could there be even more lost migrations hidden within the depths of Siberian DNA? The more we uncover, the more we realize that history is never as simple as it seems. Siberia is not just a frozen wasteland. It's a key that unlocks the forgotten paths of human history. Deep within the heart of Siberia, hidden among towering ice-capped mountains and frozen rivers, scientists uncovered something that would change our understanding of human evolution forever. A single, ancient bone, small, almost insignificant, yet powerful enough to rewrite history. It didn't belong to modern humans, nor was it from Neanderthals. It was evidence of an entirely different human species, one that had remained in the shadows of history until now. This discovery took place in Denisova Cave, a remote and isolated location in the Altai Mountains. What researchers found here was beyond anything they had expected, a fragment of a finger bone belonging to a young girl. But when they extracted DNA from the bone, they realized something shocking. The genome didn't match any known human lineage. This was a completely new species of ancient humans, distinct from both Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. They were named Denisovans, after the cave where their remains were found. But here's where things get even stranger. The Denisovans weren't just another extinct human species. They interbred with our ancestors, and their DNA still exists in some people today. Traces of Denisovan genes can be found in modern populations from Tibet, Southeast Asia, and even Australia, proving that their legacy didn't vanish when they disappeared. But why do some people carry more Denisovan DNA than others? The answer lies in adaptation. Scientists discovered that a specific gene inherited from Denisovans helps Tibetan populations survive at high altitudes, allowing their blood to carry more oxygen in thin air. This means that even though Denisovans are long gone, Their genetic influence continues to shape human survival in extreme environments. But Denisova Cave didn't just contain a single mystery. It was hiding something even more unbelievable. Among the fragments found was a bone belonging to an individual with a Neanderthal mother and a Denisovan father. This was the first direct evidence that these two human species not only lived at the same time, but had children together. It raises an even bigger question. How many other ancient human species once roamed the Earth, only to vanish without a trace? Even today, the full story of the Denisovans remains unclear. Unlike Neanderthals, whose remains have been found across Europe and Asia, Denisovan fossils have only been discovered in Siberia. And yet, their genetic markers exist in millions of people across the world. This suggests that the Denisovans were once widespread, but for some reason, their physical remains are incredibly rare. What if their traces are still out there, buried beneath the ice, waiting to be found? The discovery of Denisovans proved that human history is far more complex than we ever imagined. Siberia wasn't just home to one kind of ancient human. It was a meeting ground for multiple species, each influencing the other in ways we are only beginning to understand. With every new excavation, we get closer to uncovering the full story of these lost relatives. The past is far from settled, and the next discovery could change everything we think we know about our own origins. Scattered across the endless tundras and deep forests of Siberia, isolated communities have survived for thousands of years, carrying within them something more valuable than gold, a genetic legacy unlike any other on Earth. These are the indigenous peoples of Siberia, and their DNA holds secrets that link them to ancient civilizations, lost migrations, and even human evolution itself. Unlike the fast-moving civilizations of Europe and Asia, where empires rose and fell, Siberia remained a stronghold of ancient genetic lineages. The people who live here today are direct descendants of populations that have existed in this frozen land for millennia, their genes preserving the story of the past with astonishing clarity. But their DNA isn't uniform. It's a mosaic, a genetic puzzle shaped by waves of migration and adaptation to one of the harshest environments on the planet. Some groups, like the Khanty and Mansi of western Siberia, carry DNA that links them to early European populations. Their genetic structure suggests deep ties to the ancient North Eurasians, a group that mysteriously disappeared from history but left behind their imprint in the people of Siberia and beyond. Other communities, like the Chukchi and Koryak of eastern Siberia, share striking similarities with East Asian populations, particularly those found across the Bering Strait in North America. This connection provides a direct link between Siberian and Native American ancestors, proving that Siberia wasn't just a homeland. It was a launching point for one of the greatest migrations in human history. But there are groups that don't fit into either of these categories. The Yakuts, for example, speak a Turkic language. Yet their genetic heritage reveals something fascinating. They are descended from ancient Siberian hunter-gatherers, mixed with later migrations from the Mongolic and Turkic empires. They are living proof that Siberia was never isolated, but rather a dynamic landscape where cultures met, clashed, and fused over thousands of years. Even more intriguing are the Evenki people, one of the last remaining reindeer-herding cultures in the world. Their DNA tells a different kind of story, not of migration, but of survival. Their ancestors have lived in the forests of Siberia for over 10,000 years, outlasting ice ages, foreign invasions, and the modernization of the world. But genetic studies reveal something unexpected, traces of ancient Siberian lineages that are found nowhere else on Earth. These could be remnants of lost populations, groups that disappeared from history but still live on in the DNA of the Evenki. And then there are the Nganasan, the northernmost indigenous people of Siberia. Their genetic structure is unique, showing little influence from outside populations, meaning that they may be one of the closest living representatives of ancient Siberian hunter-gatherers. But the question remains, how did they manage to stay so genetically distinct in a land where different groups have mixed for thousands of years? Could there be even older, undiscovered lineages hidden within their DNA? The indigenous peoples of Siberia are more than just cultural groups. They are living archives of the past. Their DNA carries the footprints of vanished civilizations, forgotten migrations, and ancient survival strategies. Each genetic discovery unlocks new mysteries, but also raises new questions. What other lost lineages are hidden in these remote communities? Could there still be an undiscovered genetic link between them and other populations across the world? As scientists continue to study Siberian DNA, one thing is clear: history isn't just written in books. It's written in our blood. For thousands of years, Siberia has been home to civilizations that left no written records, no grand cities, and no towering monuments. But what they did leave behind is far more valuable: traces of their DNA, preserved beneath layers of ice and soil, waiting to be uncovered. With every ancient skeleton and every fragment of bone, scientists are piecing together a lost history that stretches back tens of thousands of years. Some of these discoveries are rewriting everything we thought we knew about early humans and their migrations across the world. One of the most astonishing finds was a pair of milk teeth buried deep in the Arctic permafrost of northern Siberia. At first glance, they seemed like ordinary relics, but their genetic code told an entirely different story. These teeth belonged to a group of people now known as the ancient North Siberians, who lived more than 31,000 years ago. They were unlike any previously identified population, neither fully European nor fully East Asian, but something entirely distinct. Their DNA contained a mixture of genes found in both modern Native Americans and certain European hunter-gatherers, meaning they played a crucial role in shaping the ancestry of future civilizations. But what's even more mysterious is that these people eventually vanished, leaving behind only fragments of their existence in the genetic makeup of modern populations. Another groundbreaking discovery emerged from the Altai region, one of the most genetically diverse locations in ancient Siberia. Here, researchers uncovered the remains of individuals who lived thousands of years apart but showed an unexpected pattern. Some carried genes that linked them to the earliest settlers of Europe, while others had genetic markers connected to East Asia. This suggests that Siberia was not just a remote outpost, but a constant meeting ground where different human populations mixed and evolved. Unlike other parts of the world, where civilizations often remained isolated, Siberia saw the movement of people from vastly different backgrounds, each leaving their imprint on future generations. And then there's the mystery of Ustishim man, the earliest modern human discovered in Siberia. His DNA contained an incredible revelation. He had direct Neanderthal ancestry, but his genetic relationship with modern humans was distant. This suggests that while he was an early pioneer of Siberia, his lineage did not contribute significantly to today's populations. It raises a haunting question: how many other human groups existed in Siberia, only to disappear without a trace? Could there be entire lost civilizations whose only evidence lies in small fragments of DNA? But perhaps the most unexpected discovery came from the remains of a child buried near Lake Baikal. Known as Malta Boy, his DNA linked him to the ancient North Eurasians, proving that Siberia's genetic influence extended far beyond its borders. His genetic markers can still be found in people across Europe, Central Asia, and even among indigenous Americans, demonstrating that the people of Siberia were not just survivors of the cold. They were the ancestors of populations that would shape the world. These ancient DNA discoveries reveal a side of history that was never recorded in books or passed down through oral traditions. Instead, it was preserved in the frozen landscapes of Siberia, waiting for scientists to uncover it. But with every answer comes new questions. How many more ancient lineages remain undiscovered? Could Siberia hold the genetic key to solving the greatest mysteries of human migration? The past is still speaking. It's only a matter of time before we learn how to listen. In the vast, frozen expanse of Siberia, survival isn't just a challenge. It's an art perfected over thousands of years. While most of the world adapted to changing seasons, the people of Siberia faced something far more extreme. Endless winters, brutal winds, and temperatures so low they can freeze skin in seconds. Yet, against all odds, they thrived. But how? The answer isn't just in their culture or traditions. It's hidden deep within their DNA. Siberians didn't just survive the cold. They evolved to master it. One of the most striking genetic adaptations found in indigenous Siberians is their ability to generate and retain body heat more efficiently than other populations. Unlike people from warmer regions, their bodies have evolved to produce higher basal metabolic rates, meaning they burn calories faster. a biological furnace designed to combat extreme cold. This allows them to stay warm, even in environments where temperatures plunge to minus 60 degrees Celsius. But this comes with a trade-off. They require a diet rich in fats and proteins to sustain this energy expenditure. This isn't just a cultural preference, it's a genetic necessity. Scientists have identified specific gene variants in Siberians that are directly linked to fat metabolism. In populations like the Evenki and Yakuts, these adaptations help them process high-fat diets, heavy in fish, reindeer meat, and marine mammals, without the health risks that most people would experience. One of the most fascinating discoveries is a variation in the PNPLA3 gene, which affects how the body stores fat. This gene is found at an unusually high frequency in Siberian populations, suggesting that it played a crucial role in their ability to endure extreme climates. But while it may have been beneficial for survival in the Arctic in modern times, it has also been linked to an increased risk of fatty liver disease, a consequence of an ancient adaptation colliding with modern lifestyles. Another key adaptation involves oxygen efficiency at high altitudes and cold temperatures. While Tibetans inherited a specific gene from the extinct Denisovans that allows them to survive in low-oxygen environments, Siberians have developed their own unique genetic responses to cope with both extreme cold and the physical strain of their harsh environment. Certain genes associated with blood circulation and vascular constriction allow their bodies to prevent frostbite more effectively by regulating blood flow to the extremities. This means that while most people would suffer severe tissue damage in sub-zero temperatures, Siberians' bodies naturally adjust, protecting their limbs from freezing. But the cold isn't the only environmental challenge Siberians have adapted to. Long, dark winters mean months with little to no sunlight, leading to low vitamin D production. Yet, Siberian populations show genetic markers that help them process and retain vitamin D more effectively than other groups, preventing the deficiencies that would normally arise in such conditions. These adaptations aren't just survival mechanisms. They are evidence of how human evolution continues to shape us, even in the modern world. What makes these genetic traits even more intriguing is their uniqueness. Many of these adaptations are rare or non-existent in other human populations, making Siberians one of the most genetically distinct groups on Earth. But could there be even more undiscovered traits hidden in their DNA? As researchers continue to unlock the genetic code of Siberians, they are beginning to realize that understanding these adaptations could provide critical insights into human health, metabolism, and even the future of space exploration. After all, if Siberians have evolved to survive the harshest conditions on Earth, could similar genetic modifications one day help humans endure the extreme environments of other planets? For now, the secrets of Siberian DNA continue to unfold, offering a glimpse into how humans adapt, evolve, and conquer the impossible. And the deeper we look, the more we realize our past holds the key to our future. For centuries, Siberia has been seen as a frozen wasteland, an endless stretch of ice, forests, and isolation. But what if I told you that this land holds the key to future scientific breakthroughs? That hidden within the DNA of Siberia's ancient and modern populations are genetic clues that could transform medicine, human endurance, and even space travel? The secrets of Siberian DNA don't just tell us about the past. They could shape the future in ways we never imagined. One of the most fascinating discoveries in Siberian genetics is their exceptional resistance to extreme environments. The ability of indigenous Siberians to survive in sub-zero temperatures for months at a time isn't just about culture or experience. It's coded into their biology. Some of these adaptations could provide groundbreaking insights into how humans regulate body heat, resist frostbite, and maintain energy levels in conditions that would be fatal for most people. Understanding these traits might help scientists develop new treatments for conditions like hypothermia or circulation disorders. Another key area of research is metabolism and diet. Many indigenous Siberians have genetic variations that allow them to process fat-rich diets without the same risks of heart disease seen in other populations. This could be a crucial breakthrough for combating obesity, diabetes, and metabolic disorders in the modern world. What if studying these adaptations could help us create better dietary plans, medications, or even genetic therapies that allow people to efficiently process nutrients. And then, there's the question of disease resistance. Siberia's ancient populations endured brutal conditions that should have made survival nearly impossible, yet they thrived. Some of their genetic markers show resistance to certain infections, inflammation, and even extreme physical stress. These traits could hold the key to strengthening the human immune system, offering new ways to fight diseases that modern medicine still struggles to control. If scientists can identify the genes responsible for these adaptations, they could revolutionize treatments for chronic illnesses and immune disorders. But the most unexpected application of Siberian DNA might lie far beyond Earth itself. As space agencies prepare for long-term missions to Mars and beyond, one of the biggest challenges they face is how the human body will cope with extreme, isolated environments. The genetic traits that have allowed Siberians to survive frigid temperatures, low sunlight, and high-energy demands could be the very same traits needed for deep space colonization. Could Siberian DNA hold the blueprint for how humans will one day live on other planets? Every time scientists uncover a new adaptation in Siberian genetics, they realize that these people aren't just survivors of the past. They are models for the future. Their DNA is a record of what the human body is capable of, what it can endure, and what we might become as we push the limits of our own existence. Siberia, once thought of as a frozen graveyard of history, is now proving to be a laboratory of evolution, one that may hold the answers to some of the biggest challenges humanity will ever face. For centuries, Siberia has remained one of the most mysterious places on Earth. Beneath its frozen landscapes, buried under layers of ice and time, lies a story waiting to be uncovered. A story not of kings and empires, but of human survival against impossible odds. The discoveries made here have already rewritten history. But what if I told you that the most important secrets are still hidden beneath the ice? That Siberia could still hold answers to some of humanity's greatest unanswered questions? One of the biggest mysteries that scientists are racing to solve is the existence of undiscovered human lineages. We already know that ancient Siberia was home to the Denisovans, a lost species of humans whose genes still exist in certain populations today. But here's the problem. Aside from a few fragments of bone, we know almost nothing about them. What did they look like? How far did they spread? Could they have been more advanced than we ever imagined? The fact that their DNA is found in people across Asia and the Pacific suggests that they were not an isolated species. They were widespread, influential, and possibly even dominant in some regions. But without more physical remains, the truth about them remains buried in the Siberian wilderness. And what if Denisovans weren't the only lost lineage? DNA analysis of ancient Siberian populations has revealed genetic traces of unknown ancestors, people who don't match any known group. These ghost populations suggest that there were humans in Siberia who completely disappeared without a trace, leaving only fragments of their genetic code behind. Who were they? Why did they vanish? And could their remains still be out there, waiting to be found? Siberia also holds secrets that could challenge everything we think we know about early human migration. For decades, scientists believed that the first people to reach the Americas came from Siberia around 20,000 years ago. But some genetic evidence suggests that humans may have been traveling between Siberia and the Americas much earlier than we thought. Could it be that civilization didn't spread in just one direction? Could there have been lost migrations that we haven't even begun to uncover? Then, there's the question of frozen DNA. Siberia's permafrost has acted like a natural time capsule, preserving genetic material for tens of thousands of years. What if the next excavation reveals something even more shocking? An ancient human so well preserved that we could extract their full genome, or even reconstruct their appearance. Could this finally allow us to understand how early humans adapted, how they thought, how they lived? With technology advancing at an unprecedented rate, we may be on the verge of decoding the deepest genetic secrets of our species. But perhaps the most unsettling mystery of all is what else lies beneath Siberia's frozen ground. Entire civilizations may have risen and fallen here, leaving behind no written records, only traces in DNA, waiting for us to find them. What if Siberia is home to a lost chapter of human history, one that we've never even imagined? What if the greatest discovery of our time hasn't happened yet? This is why the search continues. The frozen landscapes of Siberia aren't just remnants of the past. They are the key to unlocking the unknown. And as long as the ice remains, the answers will be waiting. For thousands of years, the vast, frozen wilderness of Siberia has kept its secrets buried beneath layers of ice and permafrost. But now, for the first time in history, we have the tools to unlock them. With each breakthrough in genetic research, we are uncovering new truths about human origins, lost civilizations, and even the potential for future evolution. Siberian DNA is more than just a record of the past. It is a roadmap to the future. One of the most important revelations from the study of Siberian DNA is how much we still don't know. Every new discovery raises even more questions. For example, we've learned that Siberian populations played a crucial role in shaping the genetic identity of people across the world, from indigenous Americans to Europeans to Arctic communities. But if we've only just begun to scratch the surface of these connections, how many more unknown lineages might still be waiting to be found? Could there be ancient migrations that have left no physical trace, only hidden markers in our DNA? And then, there's the question of genetic anomalies. Scientists studying Siberian genomes have found rare mutations that don't appear in other human populations. These genetic traits may have been shaped by thousands of years of isolation, extreme environments, and unique survival challenges. But could they hold the key to understanding human resilience, longevity, or even disease resistance? Some researchers believe that Siberian DNA could be instrumental in developing medical breakthroughs, offering insights into how our bodies adapt and evolve in response to harsh conditions. But the future of Siberian DNA research isn't just about humans. Deep beneath Siberia's permafrost, scientists have recovered genetic material from extinct animals, including mammoths, prehistoric wolves, and even ancient viruses. This genetic archive provides an unprecedented glimpse into ecosystems that disappeared thousands of years ago. Could this knowledge help us understand how species adapt to climate change? Could it even pave the way for genetic engineering or the resurrection of lost species? And then there's the biggest question of all: what comes next? With DNA technology advancing faster than ever, we may soon be able to reconstruct entire ancient populations, bringing lost civilizations back into focus. But as we unlock the secrets of Siberia, we are also faced with ethical dilemmas. How far should we go in manipulating genetic material? Could our discoveries lead to unintended consequences for future generations? One thing is certain: the study of Siberian DNA is far from over. In fact, we may only be at the beginning of one of the greatest scientific revolutions of our time. The frozen landscapes of Siberia have kept their secrets for tens of thousands of years. But now, as the ice melts and technology advances, those secrets are finally coming to light. What we choose to do with this knowledge could shape the future of science, medicine, and even the very definition of what it means to be human.